Hey, hello. How are you today? I am Debbie Peterson of Getting to Clarity, and I'm popping into you today to talk about a very important topic, toxic productivity. What it is, how it holds you back, and what it is that you can do about it. So let me ask you, do you ever feel like you are always busy, but you're not getting anything done? And if so, you could be experiencing toxic productivity. This is a common problem for people in leadership positions, especially for women, because we have so much that we are taking care of. And if you're not careful, it can hold you back from achieving the impact that you want to make and the influence that you want to have, not only in your leadership, but in your life. So, in this video, I'm going to paint the picture of what toxic productivity is and what it is that you can do about it. So, toxic productivity. It's the idea that we have to be productive all the time, and that any downtime is wasted time. Okay. This toxic mindset can lead us to push ourselves too hard, possibly even into burnout. It can also cause us to focus on quantity over quality, and then we aren't showing up the way that we really want to. So, toxic productivity makes us feel like we're not doing enough, no matter how much we're doing, even if we're working around the clock, and that's where we get trapped. So, essentially, toxic productivity is high functioning on steroids. And especially with the normalization of remote work, it's only gotten worse. Now, the problem with it is that it's not sustainable. At some point, we're going to catch up with it, or it's going to catch up with us. We can't keep up that level of intensity forever. That is why it's so important to find ways to reduce it, not only in our leadership, but in our life. So let me ask you, how do you know if you have it? Well, I want to give you some defining characteristics of toxic productivity and see if you recognize yourself in some of these, or maybe in all of these. Okay. So you feel possibly like you have failed if you haven't gotten your entire list accomplished. Even if you knew that the list was unreasonable to begin with, you always think you could have done more. Another characteristic, you feel like a slacker if you take any time for yourself because you feel that you should always be doing something. Do you ever tell yourself that you'll rest when you're dead? That might be it. Another characteristic is that you're fatigued, right? You've been running at an unsustainable pace. You know you have too much going on, but you just don't know how to stop. Another characteristic is you define yourself proudly as a workaholic. You may even chuckle when you say it, but deep down you are serious. Another characteristic is you cannot switch off at the end of the day. You just don't know how. The phone doesn't stay put away, even if you try. Calls happen in the evening during family time, and maybe even your brain wakes you up in the middle of the night to remind you of everything that you have going on. Another characteristic could be that work is more important than eating or self-care. If you are starting to skip meals and workouts, that could be a sign that you are suffering from toxic productivity. And if I'm saying these and you're saying, yep, 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 here are 5 things that you can do to help reduce it in your leadership and life. First tip, sit down and figure out what is really important to you. And this may sound like a no-brainer, but so many of us go through life on autopilot without taking the time to think about what is most important to us. So in your life at this moment, what area of life is most important? If it's career, great. But if it's family and health and fitness, and those 2 areas are consistently at the bottom of your list, it's important to recognize that, because your job is not to focus on everything, but the most important aspects of your life at this moment. Because as your life changes, so do your priorities. And believe me, the world will continue to spin without your constant supervision. That was a lesson I had to learn the hard way. The second tip is to set clear boundaries between your work time and your personal time. So how do you currently set these boundaries? And if you don't, no judgment. I had to learn this too. First step, be clear about your priorities and then communicate them to other people, because this is where toxic productivity can creep in when we try to do everything and be everything to everyone. Be honest and realistic with yourself about what is important and what isn't, And don't be afraid to say no to the things that aren't a priority, because ultimately we teach people how to treat us. And if people are walking over us and our boundaries, then likely we have an opportunity to reinforce those boundaries, possibly with a tough conversation to go with it, but it's necessary. So put away the phone, block the calendar, and say no. The third tip is to make yourself take breaks. Now, this may seem like it wouldn't have an impact, but it's the consistency with which you do it. Set a timer on your Apple Watch or on your phone. Get up and walk away. Moving your body, just if it's even to another part of the house, signals to your body and your mind that the pattern has been interrupted and you get to reset. So doing this allows you to come back to your work with fresh eyes, and it also gives you a distance so that you can see things from a different perspective. Gamify it if you need to. Any day that you take 2 or 3 breaks, even if they're tiny breaks, you get a prize. You get a gold star. The fourth tip is to set an intention for your day. What is the best outcome that you could have today? What would be a successful day on your terms? Just thinking about this at the beginning of the day gives instructions to your mind that this is what I want to find. It gives you guidance on what it is you should say yes to, what it is that you should say no to. And you might even want to create a list of what's most important to accomplish, but no more than 3 doable things. A big list is just going to stress you out. So take some quiet time in the morning to take control by saying what's important to you, because either you are influencing your day or you're giving permission to other people to influence you and your day. The fifth and final tip is to pursue joy and happiness. So what brings you joy? What brings you happiness? Do you know? Build time in your day and your week to do the things that put a smile on your face. And if you don't know anymore, that's a prime opportunity for you to find out, because no one's going to do it for you if you don't do it yourself. So keep in mind that it is not selfish to prioritize your joy and your happiness. It's necessary. You can't give from an empty cup. You have to fill yours up first so that you can be overflowing with the energy that's required to take care of other people when they need it, which is frequently, right? So what will it be? Music in the car, meditation in the morning, a walk at lunchtime, turning off the phone at the end of the workday? You get to decide. Because joy and happiness is an inside job. No one can define it for you. So to distinguish between joy and happiness, I'm referring to Brené Brown. She says joy is the most vulnerable emotion that we experience. And I agree, joy isn't happiness, okay? Happiness is what we feel when things are going our way. But joy is different. It's that deep sense of contentment and satisfaction that comes from living a life that feels purposeful and meaningful to us. We get to define it. It's an emotion that comes from within and not from our external circumstances. So I hope this video has brought an awareness to you of what toxic productivity is and whether you are falling into its trap. I hope not. So this awareness is the first thing to changing your mind and getting the happiness, the joy that you deserve. So until next time, be good to yourself. And here is wishing you all the clarity that you deserve. Take good care of yourself, and bye-bye for now.